Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Welcome again to another section of our free Forex training. Okay, so once again, my name is IDOWU-ADEYEMI, and this training section is this training section is from Smart Trading Concepts, which is an educative Forex educative company owned by my humble self. Okay, so this is a continuation of the series of introductory Forex introduction to Forex trading that I've been taking for a while, and this is just to continue from where we stopped. Okay, so the last section we were talking about pips. So what is pips? And we started with the topic, what is pips? And for those that watched it, for those that attended the section, I talked about pips as a movement of as a measure of price movements within the shortest period of time. And I also try to explain how to calculate pips. Okay, before we go on, I will just to continue from where we stop, I will just take some more examples on calculation of pips, and then we'll go to the next topic. Okay, so let's look at some calculation of pips. As I said earlier, in the last topic, we look at what is pips, and I define pips as the measure of price movement within the shortest period, or the measure of price movement within a point, one level to another. So, and I try to explain pips. Now, to just explain, let me just review, just take some more examples before we continue. Now, if we have Euro USD, and let's say we observe that the price is currently at 7. This is just for the purpose of explanation. As I said, what this basically means is if you're buying 1 unit of euro, 1 unit of euro, remember I always say whatever you're doing is always on the base currency, which is the first currency, which is euro. So if we have this price here, what this means is 1 unit of euro is equivalent to 1.09235, which is the price I have here, but this price is now in US dollar. So what this means is when you see an illustration like this, whatever you're doing, if you're buying, if you decide to buy, what exactly you're buying is euro. And what it means is that 1 unit of euro is equivalent to whatever the price is always in the quote currency, which is the second currency here. So we mentioned this as an example. So now let's continue. When we have this, for normal price, when price is written like this, when we're looking for the pips, the pip is always the fourth digit after the decimal. Now, looking at the example here, we have the decimal. We can see where the decimal is, and if we ask, what's the fourth digit? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 3 here is the fourth digit, and what this means is 3 is the pip. Now, another thing we need to know is what we call the pipette. Now, the pipette is much more like, most times, it's not all brokers that use. So, most of the time, it's not all brokers that use pipette, but pipette is always the 5th digit. Now, if you have, remember, if the price is like this, because it is not in our situation that we have price to be like this. So if the price is like this, it means that the pipette is always the 5th digit. Sorry, the 5th digit after the decimal. It's the 5th digit after the decimal. And from this example, we have the 5th digit to be 5. Now, when you are trying to calculate pips in price movement, any digit Now, most times people ignore the pipettes. So pipette is not always important, but when we talk about the pips, it's any value. Now, remember I said the pip is the fourth digit after the decimal. Now, any value after the pips, not forward, now backwards. Now, after the pips, like this, from these three backward, any value you have there is very important. So let me put it, every value, not after, now before the pips is very important. Remember, you can then if we say after is just the pipette, which I said you can ignore the pipette, but any value before the digit of the pip is very important, especially when you're calculating it. Now, when we look at some more examples on the calculation, you're going to understand what I mean by that. But please put this at the back of your mind. Every value before the pips is very important. Now, this is if price is written like this. Now, it's not in all currency pairs that their prices are always written like this. Now, let's go to some exemption. Now, the exemption we'll be going to is if the currency is paired with Japanese yen, JPY. Now, any currency that is paired with Japanese yen, it's the way prices looks are always different. Let's say we have USD, or let's say we have GPP, JPY. Now, the way prices, their prices may be written like this. At times, we may have something like this, or it may be something like this. Now, anytime it is paired with JPY, we always have it like this. We always have something like this. Now, when we have something like this, to know the pips is always the second digit. The pips is always the second digit after the decimal. The pip is always the second digit after the decimal. Why the pipette is the third digit after the decimal. The third digit after the decimal. Also note, as I said earlier, the pipette can be ignored. It's not important, but any value before the pips, any value before the pip, the digit of the pip digits is important, is very, not just important, is very important. Now, this is just an explanation for you to understand how pips work. Now, let's remember when I was defining what pips is, I said pip is the measure of price movement within a given period of time. So let's look at the example of measure of price movement. Now, let's assume we're using GPP JPY. GPP JPY. And let's say when you entered the price, GPP JPY. Now you entered, we'll call it entry price. That is, entry price means the price you entered the market. Now, if you enter the market like at this point, if you enter so let's assume you enter, then you came out, you closed closing price. So I'll call it closing price. Now, when I mean closing price, what this means is the price at which you came out of the market. Now, let's assume you were out of the market at this point. Now, if you look at it, you're going to notice if we try to compare in the entry price and closing price, which is higher. Now, you will notice that the closing price is higher. This means that the market went in an upward move because the closing price is higher. So it was an upward movement. It was an upward movement. Now, the next question now is, how many pips has price moved? How many pips has price moved? Because remember I said pips is the measure of price movement within a given period of time.
it's the measure of price movement. Now, this too shows us that price has moved. Now, you want to know to what extent, has price moved. Now, this is how you know that. So you now do the calculation. Remember, the higher value will come first, like a mathematical calculation. So you have 1.679, then minus 110.178. So if we're to subtract, we're going to be starting from 9 minus 8, we have 1, 7 minus 7, we have 0, 6 minus 1, we have 5, then we have the decimal, we have 0, 0, 0. Now, remember, let's now go to when I was trying to define pips. Remember, I said you can always ignore the pipette. So now, what is the pipette? I said the pipette is the last digit or the third digit after the decimal, which is 1. And I said the pip is the second digit after the decimal, which is 0. And remember, I said any digit before pips is important. Now, before pips, all these are 0. You can ignore it. But this is also before the pips. So what are you picking? Now, it means that if you want to calculate how many pips price has moved from here, to answer this question, how many pips, then you're going to say price has moved 50 pips. So this is how to determine price movement, which is pips. Price movement. So you're going to say price has moved 50 pips for this scenario. Now let's pick another scenario. I'm going to be cleaning this, and then we'll be using a different currency pair. So let's use Euro USD, and let's say our entry price, that's the price we entered the market. Let's say the entry price was around 1 point. And then let's say our closing price is 1.0. It's okay. Now, if you look at this, the first question is, what direction was this movement? What direction was the movement? Remember, we entered at this first price here, and we closed at this point. Now, if we closed at this point, you will notice that this time around, the closing price was lower. The price we closed was lower. Now, because the price we closed was lower, then it was a downward movement. I hope you're understanding. It was a downward movement. Now, having known the movement to which price moved, the next question now is how many pips? How many pips has price moved? That's the next question. How many pips has price moved? Now, in order to do this, we do our calculation. The highest value comes first, mathematical law. So we have 1.08973. Then the second one, 1.08110. Then we do the calculation. 3 minus 0, we have 3. 7 minus 1, we have 6. 9 minus 1, we have 8. 8 minus 8, we have 0. 0 minus 0, we have 0. Then we have the decimal, we have 1. Now the question is, how many pips has price moved? Remember, I said always exclude the pipette, and the pipette here is 3. The pips is 6. So any digit after the pipette, okay, this is also 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. So remember, I said any pips after before the pip is important. So we have 8. The remaining as 0. The remaining as 0. So yeah, any pips, which is 86. So how many pips? Price has moved 86 pips. So to answer the question, let's answer it here. How many pips has price moved? We have
0.86 pips. Okay, so this is to determine pips. Okay, I want to do another explanation before we call it a day under pips, and I will be using the one that has JPY again, just to make us understand better. So let's assume I use okay, chef JPY. Remember, I said, so let's assume the entry price is, let me see, we have it as and let's say the closing price is now the first question, what direction is the movement? What direction is the movement? Now, if you look at this, you will notice what the closing price is lower. So because the closing price is lower, it's a downward move. It's a downward move. Now, the next question is how many pips has price moved? How many pips? Now, to get this, let's measure it here. So we have 90.743 minus 89.332. So here 3 minus 2, 1, 4 minus 3, 1, 7 minus 3, 4, 0 minus 9. So you borrow 1 from here, that's 1. Remember, we have the decimal. We'll borrow 1, that's 10 minus 9, we have 1. Then remember that 9 is 8 now. 8 minus 8, we have 0. So how many pips has price moved? What do you want to notice? Number one, always exclude the pipette. Here the pipette is 1. And the second thing I said, any figure after the pips is important. Or sorry, before the pips. Any figure before the pips is important. Now before the pips here, we have a 0 here. So since it's 0, always remove the 0 and concentrate on this. Now, anytime you want to know the number of pips, please ignore the decimal point. Ignore the decimal point. So from this, the pip is 141 pips. This means that the market has moved 141 pips. How many pips has price moved? How many pips as price move is 141 pips. 141 pips. So this is all. So we're going to be stopping here on pips, and then we'll start with introduction to lot size. So this leads us to lot size. So let's start. We're going to start with lot size while we'll continue. Let's look at lot size. Now, what is lot size? Lot size is basically the risk a trader is willing and ready to take within a period of time. So lot size is the risk a trader is willing and ready to take within. So it's one thing to be willing, it's another thing to be ready. So for you to do that, you need to be willing and ready to take it. So it's lot size that helps us calculate the risk you're taking on a particular trade. Now, when we talk about lot size, it is grouped into 3 categories. It is grouped into 3 categories. We have the first category, which is the micro lot. We call it the micro lot. Sorry. The first category is called the micro lot. We have the mini lots, and then we have the standard lots. These are the three categories. So the first one is the micro lots. We have the mini lots. And then we have standard lots. We have third category, which is the standard lots. Now the micro lots, it ranges between 0.01 to 0.09. That's the micro lot. It varies between 0.01 to 0.09. Many lots varies from 0.10 to 0.90. Then we have the standard lot, which is from 1.0 then to infinity. This doesn't have any end, infinity. So these are the three categories. So we have the micro lot, we have the mini lot, we have the standard lot. The micro lot ranges from 0.01 to 0.09, the mini lot 0.10 to 0.90, and the standard lot 1.0 to infinity. Okay, so let's start with the micro lot. So I'm going to be cleaning this, and then we're going to be concentrating on the micro lots. Now, remember I said the micro lot ranges from 0.01 to 0.09. And I said, what is lot size? It's basically the risk a trader is willing and ready to take within a period of time. Now, if as a trader I decide to enter or to place a trade and I want to use 0.01. Now, what does this mean? Remember, we have talked about pips. What this means is, if I decide to enter a trade, and anytime you want to enter a trade, you will see where you're to pick your lot size. You're going to see it there. So you are the one that will determine the lot size, the risk you want to take on a trade. So you are the one to decide or determine the risk you want to trade on take on a trade. Now, if I want to place a trade and I decide to use the lot size of 0.01, now what this means is, if price moves in the direction, when I mean in my direction, probably I enter for a buy or I entered for a sell, and price moves in my direction. If it moves 1 pip, if price moves in my direction 1 pip, now what that means is that 1 pip is equivalent to 10 cents. So what this means is, if I use a micro lot of 0.01 and price moves in my direction 1 pip, the value of that 1 pip is 10 cents. So for every pip movement, in as much as you use 0.01, for every pip's movement, then it's going to be giving me 10 cents. So if it moves in my direction 1 pip, it gives me 10 cents, 2 pip, 20 cents, 3 pip, 30 cents. Same way, if it moves against my direction, that's how it works. So if I use 0.01 and it moves against my direction, it's going to be taking 10 cents from me. This is if I am using a micro lot of 0.01. Now, if I decide to use a micro lot of 0.02, now what this means is this. It means that if price moves my direction 1 pip, every pip's movement is 20 cents. If it moves in my direction 1 pip, it gives me 20 cents. It moves 2 pips, it gives me 40 cents. It moves 3 pips. So it will be moving in 20, 20, 20, 20 if I use 0.02. If I use 0.02, it will be moving in my direction 20. And if it's going against my direction too, it will be going 20 pips against my direction. Now, if I use 0.03, What this means is for every 1 pips movement in my direction, it gives me 30 cents. 1 pip, 30 cents, 2 pip, 60 cents, 3 pip, 90 cents, and like that. If I use 0.04, every pips movement is equivalent to 40 cents. If it moves in my direction, 0.05. If I use 0.05, it means that every pips movement is equivalent to 50 cents. If I use 0.06, what it means is every pips movement is equivalent to 60 cents. If I use 0.07, every pips movement is equivalent to 70 cents. If I use 0.08, every pips movement is equivalent to 80 cents. If I use 0.09, every pips movement is equivalent to 90 cents. Now, and that's why I said it is the risk a trader is willing and ready to take within a period of time. Now, what this means is this: if 2 people enters a trade, let's say myself and probably Mr. Caller, let's say myself and Mr. Caller, we enter the same trade at the same time, but we decide not to use the same lot size. Now, how much individual, even if we entered at the same time, we entered at the same time and we closed the market at the same time, but we did not use the same risk. Now, what this means is the profit individual will make will also differ. So your profit will be determined by how much lot size that you pick. So, and that's why I said it is the risk an individual or a trader is willing and ready to take within a period of time. So remember, the higher the lot size you pick, the higher your risk, the higher your reward. And remember they said there's a principle in economics for those that at least you studied economics at one point in time or the other, you studied economics at one point or the other. Now there's a rule in economics: the higher your risk, the higher your reward. This is where it comes to play. So this is what this means is when you're ready to take a trade, you need to understand the risks attached to taking that trade. So also you understand the reward attached. So it all depends on your own risk, your own reward. Now, this is for someone that uses a micro lot. Now, let's go to someone that uses a mini lot. Remember, I said for a mini lot, it ranges from 1.0 to 1.9. Now, if you decide to use a micro lot of 1.0, of 0.1, what this means is every pips movement is equivalent to $1. Every pips movement is equivalent to $1. So if you place a trade and you enter 1 pip, it gives you $1. 2 pip, if you enter, so every pips movement, so as price is moving your direction, for every pips, the value of that pips is $1. So if you decide to use 0.20, every pips movement is $2. So 1 pip, $2, 2 pip, $4, 3 pips, $6. So it moves in multiplication of 2. If you use 0.2. Now, if you decide to use 0.3, what this means is every piece movement is $3. Every pips movement is $3. If you decide to use 0.4, every pips movement is $4. If you decide to use 0.5, every pips movement is $5. If you decide to use 0.6, every pips movement is $6. If you decide to use 0.7, every pips movement is $7. If you decide to use 0.8, every pips movement is $8. If you decide to use 0.9, every pips movement is $9. So this is for a mini lot. Now, I don't want to bore us too much. We'll be stopping here. Now, to end this class, I'll be giving us an assignment, combining pips. Now, the assignment is this. The first one is, let's say you enter a trade with IDOWU-USD, and your entry price, let's say is 1 point, then your closing price is 1.06. So question 1, let's go to questions. 1, what is the direction of price movement? 2, how many pips has price moved? Question 3, if I use a micro lot of 0.04, how much in dollars did I make? 4, if I use a mini lot of 0.08, how much in dollars did I make? How much in dollars was my profit? So I have, so how much in dollars was my profit? So these are questions which will be treated before the next topic. So please, I want you to write this and send it to me. I want to believe you all have my direct contact. So I want you to send this to me. Okay. So thank you very much for taking our time to watch it. Then we'll continue in the next class. Do have a splendid day. Bye.